And for this lesson, for our arts, our topic is about influence of iconic artists in the West on the evolution of art forms. Man creates arts. Each period has their iconic artists who have influence in the creative output in various periods, which reveal the degree of sophistication of what the different civilizations achieved. Okay, let's proceed for this activity before we go to our main topic. So for what's in, choose only one period to discuss by filling in the template below. So write the period era, characteristics of painting, sculpture, and architecture. You can pause the video to answer this. For our next activity, this is picture analysis. Then answer the following questions. Number 1, what do you see in the pictures? Number 2, what is being suggested in the forms? Number 3, can you guess who do you think is the artist of this sculpture? You can pause the video to answer this in your notebook. Okay, for what is it? Art from Egyptian period reaches its height in the work known as the Narmer palette in 3200 to 3000 BCE, which was created to celebrate the unity of Upper and Lower Egypt under King Narmer. During the classical period, classical art focused attentions on form. A solid strategy of plan shown and production dominated the creation of arts in the classical way. Observing artistic agreement was basic for the artist to set measure or rules in ways to create art. Sculpture. Myron introduced greater boldness of pose and more perfect rhythm, subordinating the parts to the whole. He was prominent for his sculpture of powerful athletes and lifelike animals. He created mainly bronze sculpture and was considered an all-around and innovative artist in his time. The Discobolos is an exemplar of action statuary of the classical period. The athlete is poised now of highest tension. When he was swung his arm back and is about to fling the discus, the musculature of his body is beautifully incised and he looks like a cold spring. However, his face does not reflect his tension. Instead, he is expressionless. Its facial features are simplified and emotionless. Phidias did most of the sculpture in the Parthenon, the statue of Apollo and Athena, and the priest between the upper section of the temple. Praxiteles did a more pronounced S-curve and elongated figures to suggest forms with kinetic movement shaped to urge appearance with animated motion. Lysippos did an equally dynamic and twisting works with Praxiteles that is taking an affectionate look and frame further contouring curves of sculpture. Now let's go to painting. So that is the sculpture we discussed already. Now let's go to painting. Painting, Cesus and Parrhasius were the two of the most skillful painters in depicting reality. They tried to outdo each other about who was more skillful in depicting reality. A bunch of grapes that was so real that birds came to peck the fruits was painted by Zeus. Zeus was asked by Parrhasius to look at his painting, which was covered with curtain. When he approached the painting and tried to release the curtain, only to discover that the curtain was the painting itself. So this is the grapes picture. Okay, of Susk. Okay, let's go for the architecture. Ictinus and Callicrates were the architects of designing the Parthenon. Though some sources, such as the Roman architect and author, they have provided a strong foundation for architecture today, particularly around the core elements of simplicity, harmony, and perspective and proportion, although the Parthenon was heavily used, looted, and burned over time. It's still a centerpiece in the modern city of Athens and symbolizes the Athenian imperial power. Greek philosophy spread through Greek artworks. The solid sense of balance in their temples, human forms, theater, and literary arts purely reflected the Greek lifestyle of a sound mind in a sound body. Let's proceed to the medieval period sculpture. Ghiberti was formed as a medieval sculptor and painter. He was a founder of the Renaissance, an intellectual movement that started in the Italian city of Florence in the early 15th century. Architecture. Maurice de Sully initiated the construction of the Notre Dame Cathedral. He is a bishop of Paris who conceived the idea of converting into a single building, on a larger scale, the ruins of the two earlier basilicas. Florence Cathedral started in the Gothic style in 1296 under Arnolfo di Cambio and finished in the Renaissance style in 1436. Under Brunelleschi, the 14th century St. Stephen's Cathedral, Vienna. The massive Milan Cathedral began in 1386, and Seville Cathedral 1401 to 1528, the largest Gothic cathedral in the world. In painting, Italian Romanesque art may be said to reach its ends in the hands of old masters, from the Duecento and Trecento such as Duccio di Buonisegna in 1255 to 1319, leader of the conservative Sinense school of painting. The older Florentine painter Cimabue, Seni di Pepi in 1240 to 1302, and even perhaps Giotto di Bondon in 1267 to 1337. All of whom opened the way for the Quattrocento, the early Renaissance, which materialized in Florence. Now, for activity, my artwork, okay, for your performance task, create an artwork guided by techniques and style of various periods or art tradition using the local materials. Materials as any available and local materials that you can use in making your artwork. With the use of any local and available materials, create your own work guided by the techniques and styles of various periods or tradition. Then choose from among the following works of iconic artists. Example, human figure, building, etc. Make sure that the techniques and styles of various periods or tradition were observed. So this is the rubric that you can follow to get the high score. Okay, multiply by 5 all the score that you are going to get for each category. For team, we have relevance and material use. You can pause the video and rewind it so now the back read the rubrics. Okay? Now you answer this what I have learned in your notebook. Sentence completion, I have learned that. I have realized that. I'm so delighted to know that. I clearly understood that. I am thankful that. Okay? Pause the video and answer this in your notebook. Okay, for what I can do, another performance activity. So imagine that you are an art historian who live in the past and you encounter all the iconic artists in the lesson. Who among them catches your attention to appreciate more the beauty of art? Okay? So fill in the blanks with the influence and artworks of iconic artists in art forms. The iconic artists, the artworks, and write about what you have noticed on the influence of iconic artists on art forms and movements. Okay, pause the video and answer these in your notebook. For our assessment, answer what is being asked. Number one, who initiated the construction of the Notre Dame Cathedral? Number two, who built the most famous of the Athenian temples? Number three, who are the greatest of thinkers of the Western civilization? Four, who were the sculptors whose prominent works that had elongated shape to urge appearance with an animated motion? And five, who were the three great tragedians of Dionysus theater? Okay? And pause the video and answer these on your notebook. For additional activities, okay, activity 6.3, write a short criticism on the who among the iconic artists do you think have the great influence in the movement of art forms. So you proceed to our Google Classroom and submit all the written outputs and performance tasks. Okay, there. See the classwork. And tomorrow, for our physical education, our topic is hand signals of volleyball. Okay? So class, if you have question, kindly proceed to our group chat. And then, again, this is Teacher Jaylun always saying, New Normal Education, kung kaya nila, ay kaya mo rin. Ating alamin at tayo'y laging manalangin sa ikabubuti natin. Bye-bye!